Okay, I'm gonna do an update here. We're about a week into the FJ62 project. I say we, it's just me. Um, Fair bit of progress has been made in tearing down the truck. It always seems in the beginning there's a lot of progress being made because you see a lot of change. Um, so I don't want to get ahead of myself here. Um, if you remember, the rust on the truck was pretty bad. I've found it's I don't think it's no better than what I thought. Um, and in a few areas it's worse than I thought. In other areas it's better. So I'm still hopeful. This is not going to be a concours type of restoration. It's going to be a very solid daily driver. It's going to be watertight and it's going to be rust proofed. So when I get done with this, this will be a nice looking truck that should stay nice looking for a really long time. So let's move to the truck. Okay, so obviously the first thing you notice is there's no more frame under the truck. It was a job getting the frame out from underneath this, especially doing it one person without a lot of specialty tools. I used my 3-ton engine hoist here. When I do it again, I'm definitely going to extend these legs out about 6 or 8 inches because it got a little bit front heavy. The other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to use 3 different levelers, engine levelers, when I do this, so I can do front to back and side to side, and I'll have 4 separate chains from 4 mounting points. Each mounting point being where the seat belts tie into. And I'm not going to use this insanely heavy chain. I'm going to buy some more, probably 1,000-pound chain, and use that. It'll just be a lot easier to work with. Let's move on to where I've been digging out some of the rust. So I haven't got to this rocker panel yet, but I have on the other side. This one had some rust in it, but it was also a pretty dented panel. So I went ahead and just cut this entire section out. It's pretty good metal. I might be able to reuse the metal, or at least a lot of it. More than likely, what I'm going to do is I'm probably just going to fab up a new panel there after I prep all this. I need to build a new flange here. This all come out, so that really wouldn't be too bad. I just need to mimic the lines in that. This is where I found a lot more rust. This comes out, goes up and over to the back of this one. You can't see my hand. It goes out here from this weld point out, up, and over. Well, the vast majority of the rust on this truck is from a really crappy body repair that was done years ago. So it looks like the truck was hit pretty hard here on this corner. Pushed all this in. You can still see wrinkles in the original body, but it looks like it was hit down low. So what the body shop did, this part was fine, is they just cut out this outside, well, what they did, if you can see here, see this stitch here, this is Bondo filling in between the welds. They couldn't even be bothered to weld it all the way across. And this is stitched coming down here and across, stitched here, and then down here. So this section is all a different body panel from factory. That's fine. I could even live with the lazy welds. What I can't live with is the fact that One, they couldn't be bothered to straighten this out. I mean, why not just go ahead and cut this out and put in a new straight piece? But then they just caked everything with Bondo. Worse is there's a access panel here where you can access the frame mount bolt. They didn't bother to put that back. So what happens is as they're driving down the road, this allows water, dirt, whatever to come in here. It basically filled this entire channel up with a 1/2 inch of grime, and all that does is hold the moisture in. So of course it just totally destroyed this panel. Well, I say destroyed it. I'll be able to use the panel to a large extent, but I'm going to have to do massive patches to fix rust that really didn't need to be there. I'm going to need to get under there and fix this. That's actually not terrible. But anyway, as you can see, I've still got lots of repairs to do here. I bought some rust converter. I flat disked all this down. And so what I'm going to do is go over this. I'll hit it with a flat disk again. And hit it with some rust converter again. Yeah, a lot of this is still pretty solid. So yeah, I mean, this is bad and this is bad. Because there's just a lot of really compound curves that I'll have to try and figure out. This is probably not the body shop's fault. I guess there's a rocker panel cover that goes on these, and that was lost, I guess, years ago. Whatever. Anyway, there's these plastic rivets that pop in there, and that allowed moisture to get in, grime and dirt, and that ate this away. But this is all, it's perfectly straight here, so that'll be easy to take care of. And there's just little bits of rust. I'm just hitting it with a flat disc and hitting it with rust converter to stop it in its tracks. I haven't got to this yet. This will be super fun. Yeah, so I mean, it's bad, but it's doable. You're just gonna spend some time bending sheet metal and welding in sheet metal. Now let's take a look at the chassis. So the chassis is not too bad. It's got its problems, but it's not too bad. I mean, if you take a peek here, this rail is real nice. Barely even surface rust on this side. Little bit of rust down here in the bottom of this radiator. I bet that's fairly common. That'd be simple. Bit of surface rust, and it's just surface rust here on the frame. Going back, all these punch outs look nice and straight, so I'm not worried about that. I'll get in there. I mean, I could see some rust flake inside, but as I'm, feeling right inside, it's not bad. So this, I'll probably just pull up my sandblaster, blast all this off, POR 15 it. Where I am seeing something I'm going to have to work on is back here. And in fact, all the rust on this truck seems to be behind the rear wheels for the most part. Right here where this, I'm trying to figure out exactly what all went on here. This mates up, I guess, on the inside of a frame rail. I'm not sure. I'm going to have to disassemble all of this and see what I can do. As you can see, there's some, definitely got corrosion going on inside of there. And so I'm just going to cut all that back and just weld in some new metal there. It's not super structural. This is really, it needs to be strong because you've got a, you've got your hitch point back here. But, looking at the axles, they don't look so bad. There's one place I noticed up here. Is that it? You can see the front of the shackle there. That'll need some repair when I pull the axles off. Yeah, it was just that side. Yeah, so all in all, we've got a bit of rust, but I mean, it's not crazy. I think it'll be a fairly straightforward fix. I just need to get a hold of good metal, and need to get a hold of a welder heavy enough to weld this gauge. I've got a 140 amp MIG and I think a flex core, which will weld a bit hotter, but it's really not hot enough to penetrate this gauge still. So I think my brother has a stick welder. If not, I'll just get one off Craigslist or Harbor Freight, and that should do it. So yeah, that's where we are in the project here. It's about a week into it. Moving forward, if you guys have any advice, things I need to check and fix while this truck is apart, please let me know. Appreciate it.